everyone, I am Teacher Jayan. Today, we will learn about cooperative learning strategies. Objectives. First, to define cooperative learning strategy. Second, to identify different strategies in cooperative learning. And third, to recognize the importance of cooperative learning strategy. What is cooperative learning strategy? Cooperative learning strategy is an instructional strategy in which small groups of students work together on a common task. The task can be as simple as solving a multi-step math problem together, or as complex as developing a design for a new kind of school. In some cases, each group member is individually accountable for the part of the task. In other cases, group members work together without formal role assignments. According to David Johnson and Roger Johnson, there are 5 basic elements that allow successful small group learning. Positive interdependence. This is when students feel responsible for their own and the group's effort. Face-to-face interaction. Students encourage and support one another. The environment encourages discussion and eye contact. Individual and group accountability. Each student is responsible for doing their part. The group is accountable for meeting its goal. Group behaviors. Group members gain direct instruction in the interpersonal, social, and collaborative skills needed to work with others. And group processing. Group members analyze their own and the group's ability to work together. Now, let us identify the different strategies in cooperative learning. Numbered heads together. This is a cooperative learning strategy that holds each student accountable for learning the material. Students are placed in groups and each person is given a number. The teacher poses a question and students put their heads together to figure out the answer. The teacher calls a specific number to respond as spokesperson for the group. By having students work together in a group, this strategy ensures that each member knows the answer to problems or questions asked by the teacher. Because no one knows which number will be called, all team members must be prepared. For example, divide the students into groups of 4 and give each one a number from 1 to 4. Next, pose a question or a problem to the class. Then have students gather to think about the question and to make sure everyone in their group understands and can give an answer. Then ask the question and call out a number randomly. Then, the students with that number raise their hands, and when called on, the student answers for his or her team. Next is tea party. Tea party strategy is called tea party because students can pretend they are at a tea party, mingling around with each other, listening and talking, and discussing. To use this strategy, distribute index cards to each student with a phrase from the text written on it. Phrases may be repeated. Ask the students to begin the tea party. Move around the room. Listen to other students' phrases and share their own. Encourage them to discuss what may be happening. Allow students to mingle for 8 to 12 minutes or until the discussion dies down. Then, ask students either independently or in a group to write I, we think statements. These statements are the students' prediction of what the text will be about. This strategy can be used in an English language arts classroom. Prior to reading a poem, for example, choose phrases or sentences from the poem that are intriguing, but don't give away too much information. Prepare index cards for each student and have them complete the activity. After students share their I, we think statements, Keep them so students can look back after you've read the text. Then compare the prediction to the actual point. Round robin. This is a brainstorming strategy where students are situated around the table in an academic discussion. Like other brainstorming sessions, students generate ideas on a specific topic or question. However, with this strategy, there is equal participation among students as well as multiple discussions taking place. When we talk about equal participation, this is the most effective thing about this strategy because each student within the group has an equal opportunity to participate in the discussion. One student leads the discussion, then each student takes their turn voicing their opinion on the topic. But in some cases, one student will be assigned the recorder, where their job is to record everything that each student says. If the teacher finds that students are talking out of turn, then sometimes they will use talking chips, where students must turn in one chip each time they voice their opinion. In group discussions, tables are arranged around the classroom and positioned so that there are multiple brainstorming discussions taking place at one time. When the timer goes off, or when the teacher says, each group moves to another table where the topic is different. Once groups have rotated to all tables, the round robin discussion strategy is over. How to do this round robin strategy? First, think of the topic that you want students to discuss. Second, decide on the amount of questions or topics you would like to be discussed so you know how many tables or groups you will need. Third, arrange the desks or tables so that discussion flows nicely and students can move about easily. Also consider the placement so that groups won't be distracted by other groups. Fourth, give each table one discussion sheet, preferably a different color, along with a variety of different colored pens, because this will help distinguish groups from one another. Assign one person the leader of the group and another the recorder. Fifth, set a timer for each group. Also, give groups tokens so when it's each student's turn to talk, they must turn in a token. This helps the groups move along. Then, once each group has gone, before they move to the next group, have the leader present their group's ideas. Write around strategy. This strategy is for topics or questions with multiple answers. Teachers can modify the strategy to fit the students' needs. Write around can be used for review. Students can be given a topic for review and then write everything they know on the topic. After the activity, students can read the paper aloud in their groups, hearing new information, more on the topic, and clarifying any confusion. A teacher can also use this as a formative assessment, gauging the students' knowledge and hearing any misunderstandings the students may have. How to do this strategy? First, for groups of 3 to 4 students, a sentence or topic is given to the groups. 10 to 15 seconds of think time is given for the students to think of the sentence or topic. Second, the first member in the group starts writing about the sentence or topic. Third, after a short amount of time given, 30 seconds to 1 minute, students pass the paper to the next member in the group. Fourth, around 30 seconds is given to read over what is written in the paper. Then the second member starts to write clarifying, adding or summarizing information to the paper. 30 seconds to 1 minute is given. Then the paper is passed on to the next group member and the process repeated. Carousel. A cooperative learning strategy that involves movement, discussion, and reflection. In a carousel, students work in small groups and move from station to station, discussing each task as they go. Carousel is a great way to incorporate kinesthetic learning into your teaching and give students a much needed break from sitting in their chairs. It is also a great way to encourage group work as students must discuss and reflect together to answer each question. How does carousel work? Generally, the teacher creates about 5 to 7 numbered stations around the classroom. Each station consists of a piece of chart paper with a question written on the top. For example, if you're doing this as an activation strategy before your sound unit, some questions might be, what do you know about how sound is made? Or what are some different sounds that you hear every day? The idea is to get students thinking about the subject matter that they are about to learn. Students are divided into small groups. The number of students in each group may depend on the number of stations that you have. I like to limit groups to about 3 to 4 students. Each group begins at a different station. The teacher sets a timer, and the students stay at each station for that set period of time. We'd like to limit this to about 1 to 2 minutes at each station. So we find that the brisk pace keeps students motivated. You would rather them not have enough time to put all their thoughts down rather than having too much time. That is when classroom management issues arise. During the time that students are at each station, they will read the question, skim over any previous answers by other groups, and then add their own ideas to the paper. When the timer goes off, they move to the next station. When the groups have visited each station, there is a short discussion to debrief. Try not to drag this out. With younger students, you may want to choose a couple of points to highlight and discuss from each paper, rather than reading every single thing that was written. Uncommon commonalities. This strategy is where the teacher will group the students into teams of 4 and have them come up with a team name. Then give each team members a piece of paper and have them fold it the long way in fours and label each section 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top. Next, write a question in the front board such as, how many siblings do you have? The team's goal is to discuss the question with their group and figure out what they all have in common. If all 4 team members have one brother, then they will write that in column 4. If 3 of them have one brother, then they will write that in column 3, and so on. The activity continues with each new question that is put on the board. Forced debate. This strategy requires students to use their communication skills to work within a group. For example, the teacher writes a proposition on the front board such as, should there be a vending machine in the school cafeteria? Then the students who agree move to one side of the classroom, and the students who disagree move to the other side. Once students are on one side of the classroom, that is now their group. The teacher then forces them to debate the opposing side that they have chosen. This strategy really utilizes students' critical thinking skills and forces them to really think about the question as a whole in order to argue for the opposing side rather than what they really feel about the question. Cooperative graffiti. This strategy requires students to think about the topic and write down as many ideas as possible using different colored pens. For example, divide the students into small groups and give each group a large, butcher black piece of paper and a variety of colorful pens. Next, write down broad topic on the front board, and in your command, go! Instruct students to write down as many ideas as they can that correlate to the topic you wrote on the board. Then, once the time is up, about 5 to 10 minutes, then have students try and organize their colorful ideas into categories. So, those are some examples of cooperative learning strategies. Somehow we can say that this cooperative learning strategy makes the teacher teaching learning process more fun because students will join hand in hand or work together in a common task. So that's all for this session. See you next time.